Hello and welcome to the Fox and Fish podcast, your home for everything spooky, creepy, and horrifying. I'm Kirrianna the Fox.
And my name is Phinn the Fish. So after last episode's very long and pretty heavy topic, we actually have quite a light one, which is perfect for today. This episode is coming a bit late. I wanted to get it out on Thursday. We are recording this at 12:30 in the morning on Friday, and I just got off work. Life has been kind of weird this past week.
It's been very weird this past week.
It has been, and we are also a little bit tipsy, so this episode might be just very different. It's going to be a lot more chill, and we're kind of just going to talk about more or less a topic. So the topic of today is doppelgangers. I really wanted to find a lot more information, but there's honestly just not a lot. So we're just going to talk about kind of what doppelgangers are. We're going to talk about some doppelgangers in media. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, because I was even thinking, just in your short intro, I'm surprised that there's not, I'm surprised you didn't find much, because I'm familiar with doppelgangers because of their prevalence in media that I like. A lot of games, especially that I've played, have doppelgangers in them.
Yeah, it seems like it's there's just very little, you'll see when I talk about it, there's very little information. They're basically just like a one note type of thing where it's like, yeah, it's just like a spirit that looks like you, basically, and there's not really much to that.
Yeah, it's a spirit. This whole thing is like, oh shit, me too, dog.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, this is just gonna be, I don't know how long this episode is gonna be. Probably not super long. I'd be surprised if we get past like an hour and a half. There's not a whole lot of topic or of information here, but I feel like that's perfect after a giant 2-hour long essay on skinwalkers.
Yeah, the 2-hour long skinwalker extravaganza with 15 minutes of preamble.
Yeah. So, what are doppelgangers? You probably already know, honestly. Like Kirrianna was saying, they are so prevalent in pop culture, but the definition that Wikipedia gives is that it's a mysterious exact double of a living person. The word doppelganger stems from two German words that literally translates to either double walker or double goer. It's not someone who just resembles you, but it's like an exact double. You're like the way you walk, the way you act and talk, the way you dress, to the point where your best friend or your closest relative could encounter your doppelganger and swear it was you.
Okay, I've heard stories like that.
Yeah, they would swear it was you, even if you can prove you weren't in that exact location.
So, the root of the word comes from.
The word doppelganger comes from Germany. Yes.
Does the legend come from Germany?
I haven't been able to find that because we're gonna see there's actually a few other, a lot of cultures have their versions of doppelgangers.
Okay, so this is one of those things that's almost everybody has a legend about it.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're all called something different. Some of these words I know one for sure I'm never going to be able to pronounce. It has the little slash inside the O. I don't know what word that, or what sound that makes.
Oh yeah, if it's not Shiza from the Lady Gaga song, I don't know how to say it.
Traditionally, they have been viewed as sinister or even evil entities. And they also have been considered an omen of misfortune or bad luck. So we're kind of going back to the Mothman. I guess I'm just going to do all the bad luck omens. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing for doppelgangers, but yeah.
Yeah, I knew they usually are depicted as, just generally not good, but I didn't know they were an omen.
I have 4 different types of doppelgangers. These aren't types that I found. I didn't oh, here's the 4 types of doppelgangers. These are names that I made up for what I found from different stories. We do have a couple doppelganger stories, 2 of which, by the way, are from very powerful and famous people. Try to guess who they are before we get to them.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I think I gave you one hint for one of them.
And I don't remember it, so that's perfect.
But yeah, very, very popular and powerful people have seen their doppelgangers. And I also have a couple that I saw on I think it was Ranker. I'm pretty sure, like the top 20 scariest doppelganger stories they found on like Reddit or something.
Oh my god, that's
so
great.
I picked a couple from there. But there are like types of doppelgangers. And one thing I noticed, because I read a lot of doppelganger stories, but I didn't take all of them, obviously. There's kind of like, it says it's an exact double, but there seems to be a scale of how much the doppelganger is like you. Because sometimes it seems like these doppelgangers are like weird and trying to learn how to human.
Oh, that's even creepier.
Like sometimes, like I remember one story where a girl said that like she woke up off like on the couch, she was taking a nap, and her husband walked by with a mayonnaise jar, but it was like a mason jar, but it was full of snow, and he was just like, it snowed outside, and she's like, what? And then she looked outside and there wasn't even snow on the ground.
What the fuck?
Like weird shit like that. And like there was one where it's someone said that they saw a doppelganger of their aunt watching a video on her laptop of people kissing, like making out, which seems kind of weird if you saw your aunt doing that. But then he like went downstairs and his aunt was actually like washing dishes.
Oh,
and
fuck no.
He went back upstairs and like the laptop was open, but the screen was black.
It's like he caught a doppelganger trying to learn how to human.
Yeah, it really was. That's kind of like part of a theory that we can get into later.
Ooh,
is like
shit,
what
okay.
doppelgangers are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they can also just be like mischievous.
Love that.
Yeah, like they're not exactly evil. Well, they're evil, but they're not like downright evil. Like they're trying to kill people, but they'll try to like fuck your life up. Like they'll go around and like like go to your coworker and be like, hey bro, can I borrow $20? Like I'm really down bad and I need gas money. I got you when payday comes. And then like, you know, the guy, you know, your coworker comes like, hey, where's that $20 you owe me? Like, what $20? I didn't borrow that. Like, that was you.
Okay.
Like stuff like that. They'll like just mess with your social life.
So there's like a sliding scale as to how much they're trying to fuck you up.
Yeah, on the lower end, it's like causing mischief like for other people in your life and maybe like getting people mad at you. The other end though is doppelgangers like trying to fucking replace you.
That's fucked.
That's really fucked. Yeah.
That's a really creepy thought.
What's another? Sometimes also they are like a death omen. Like those two people that they're dead. Those two famous people that saw their doppelgangers. They're dead.
Yeah.
And they saw their doppelgangers before they died.
Oh, like recently around their death?
Yeah. Well, one was very recent. Another one was like years in advance. But yeah, that is one of the types of doppelgangers because there is a common theme with those that I've noticed. It kind of seems to depend on if they show themselves to you or if they show themselves to your family members.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if they show themselves to you, it seems like you're looking at yourself as a corpse. Like you're like the doppelganger would look pale and like sickly, kind of.
Interesting. Okay.
But
that sounds like a creepy ass thing to walk into.
Yeah. I haven't heard of any where it shows like, I don't want to spoil it, but one of the people who saw their doppelganger died from a wound, and that wound didn't appear on their doppelganger.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But they do appear like they're dead, like a corpse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But if they show themselves to other people, it doesn't seem to have that effect. Like they seem to like almost act like that person, and you know, like you'll have, you know, a family member who's like chronically ill on the verge of death, but then all of a sudden they come walking in the door and like, you know, like grab a snack or something. So
when they shouldn't be in shape to be able to do
that. And that'll be like their doppelganger, and then people will be like, oh my god, you're like, well, you're okay, but then, you know, like a day or two later,
I saw Meemaw walking today.
yeah, but then a day or two later, Meemaw is unfortunately no longer with us.
Nemo.
So that's pretty fucked when
really
you think about
fucked.
that. So
It's like gaslighting their family in the worst way.
Another thing is there are some accounts where doppelgangers, also called the evil twin, will suggest that there are accounts that suggest they'll try to attempt to provide advice for their copied, but the advice is like wrong. It's like twisted or they'll try to fuck their like shit up basically.
So the doppelganger will give the person that they're a copy of shitty advice?
Yes.
Almost like genie like in a way.
Kinda. That's what it reminded me of, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Also, I found this note here, but I didn't know what to do with it because I couldn't find anything else about this. To be fair, I didn't look into what bilocation means.
Yeah, that's one I don't know off the top of my head.
I found a note where it says doppelgangers should not be confused with bilocation, which is when an individual is seen at two different locations at the same time. But this is not someone being copied, but it's two of that person. So that's kind of weird. I don't know how you can have two of the same person, but it's not a copy.
Sounds like some kind of glitch in the Matrix type shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the theories that we're going to talk about at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the different types of doppelgangers I was able to find easily. And some of these words I'm not going to be able to say. In ancient Egyptian mythology, a Ka, I guess, a K-A, that's literally, it's two letters.
That's how I'd say it, but I'm no expert.
A Ka was a tangible spirit double, which has the same memories and feelings as the person who, like, they're be a copy of.
Interesting, okay.
Norse folklore describes entities known, this is the word that I'm not going to be able to say, Vardoger? I have no clue.
Yeah, I have no idea how you pronounce an O with a slash through it, but...
But these are ghostly beings that precede their living counterparts. This is another type of doppelganger that I am going to bring up later. It's kind of like they'll see the doppelganger doing something, and then later on they'll see the actual person doing the thing that the doppelganger was doing.
Oh, interesting. It's like a ghost from the past.
Or in this case, the future even.
Or like more, okay,
So that's pretty interesting.
That's very interesting.
East Asian cultures have Kjin.
Let me see it. Where's the word?
It's this word right here. It's got the underline on it because that's not a word that like in English.
I would say Kijin, but again, I have no idea.
I have no clue either. Or an Oni. I thought Oni just meant demon.
I kind of thought so too.
Maybe it does, but these are malevolent spirits capable of taking on a human form, and they often appear as doppelgangers. So
I'm very familiar with Oni from, again, like different forms of media, mostly video games, some books. I didn't even know that they could shapeshift.
I guess so. Again, I didn't get into too much with each of these because there's honestly just not that much. Like, I tried to type it in and I'd be looking and I just hear the same like 5 things being reiterated in 20 different ways.
Fair, yeah.
There's just not a lot of information about them, but they are cool and I want to talk about them mainly for the media.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think that we can get into some interesting conversations there. I also found this one. I believe it's Nordic, the Slavic Domovoi. It's a household spirit that, again, has the ability to transform itself into the homeowner or just a family member. They're generally benevolent in nature, but they can become malevolent if they're provoked or neglected by the family that it protects. So they're like the protective thing.
So in that, they're a protective entity.
It seems to be, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So why would it, if it's a protective entity, why would it take the form of the people it's protecting?
I don't know. Maybe to like ward off, home invaders, make it seem like someone's home, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
Or even just, like, to kind of give, like, familiarity to the people that it's trying to protect.
So I actually have doppelgangers in media first, but I want to do the different types of doppelgangers first.
Okay.
And then we'll go back to the media, just because I think these are kind of cool to talk about before we go into the media.
Yeah.
I ordered this all wrong.
All
this episode's a little rushed, I'm not going to lie. But I think it works for this easy topic where there's not a lot to really talk about.
Yeah, that's fair. It's going to be a lot of just us kind of riffing.
Yeah. But we have the death or the ill omen doppelganger. Remember, these are all like my own names and stuff. These aren't like actual types.
Which I think is cool that you categorize it yourself.
Yeah. So these, like I said before, they usually look very pale, the kind of sickly. They look like a walking corpse, but they look like you. Imagine you walk home and your corpse is just standing there looking at you.
Dude, that's legitimately a terrifying idea.
It really is. We're going to talk about it, one very, very amazing moment in movies. Like, we're going to talk about that.
Hell yeah.
It's great. There's also the reflection doppelganger. This one's kind of interesting. There's two versions of it that I've seen. It's either you look in a mirror and you see a second reflection of yourself, like behind you or next to you or something, or your reflection itself would potentially be the doppelganger and not follow what you're doing.
Oh, dude. Okay, so like, how there's this, like, widespread fear of people that, like, you're in the basement and you, like, the light switch for the basement is at the bottom of the stairs, so you, like, turn the light switch off and run up the stairs.
Yeah.
I have this, like, weird thing with mirrors where I fear that exact thing happening.
It is terrifying. Mirrors are terrifying
idea. And I mean, like, it doesn't, like, fucking affect my daily life or anything. It's not that bad, but, like, that is a thought in the back of my head almost every time I look in a mirror.
Oh, yeah. We also have the glitch or the time lag doppelganger.
Okay.
These are the ones I was talking about.
The glitch in the Matrix type?
Yeah. They are basically, people that will see the doppelganger or the person doing something, and then the other one will do that exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you'd see, your brother coming in from, like, the dining room with a drink in his hand, coming out of the kitchen, but then, like, 2 minutes later, you see the exact same thing. It's like, didn't you just get a drink? Like, no, what are you talking about?
I've been in my bedroom playing League of Legends for the past 6 hours. That's an interesting one. That makes me go back to, like, what is it called? Like,
the simulation theory?
Yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm not going to lie.
That's fair.
I had something I wanted to talk about, but it's gone now.
That's fair.
Maybe I shouldn't have gotten as tipsy as I did.
It's okay. This is just a fun, breezy episode. And then what we call the perfect doppelganger. This is kind of on a scale. Basically, it's a doppelganger that perfectly resembles you. Sometimes there is a scale with that too. We can get into that with some of the doppelgangers in media. Sometimes they are like perfect copies and you can tell it is what, like, you can't tell who's real, basically, like which one's the doppelganger.
Right.
Sometimes the doppelganger just doesn't seem to know how to person, and like there's like a scale with that where sometimes they're better than others, other times they are just weird.
Okay, yeah, like they are kind of a perfect copy, but there's just something off about their behavior or
there's just
looks or something.
Yeah, usually it's with behavior.
Okay, yeah.
Not usually with looks. Sometimes I guess it could be if they're like wearing something weird that you feel like that person wouldn't wear.
Mm.
Like if I just pulled up in here wearing like all pink, you'd probably be like, where's Phinn?
Yeah.
What have you done with them?
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, those are the main 4 types of doppelgangers.
I remember what I was going to say about the glitch type doppelganger.
Go for it.
It made me think of, like, basically just the debate between free will and, like, predestination. Destiny.
Yeah.
Type shit. Like, is it your doppelganger, like, having some kind of, like, prophetic ability to know what you're going to do and copying it because it's just trying to copy you in general? Or is it just, like, whatever cosmic forces determine the likelihood of anything happening. That's just
Right.
like the chances that something that's trying to copy you does exactly what you do without even trying to.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's some like big cosmic idea shit.
Yeah, it really is. So we're gonna talk about doppelgangers in media. They're used a lot, especially in horror, just because it's such a terrifying idea. And they like the reason I think they're used so much also, and the reason we have such a they're so prevalent in culture is because a doppelganger is like a really, really good, easy like metaphor kind of when you have like a protagonist who's like the biggest wall they had to face was themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very good thematic imagery.
Yeah, it's great thematic imagery. There's also like the idea of like maybe a split personality, like the doppelganger who is evil versus the protagonist who's good, and like maybe having to find like the balance in between, or whatever. Like there's so much amazing doppelganger like thematic lines you can go with, and we can talk about some while we're talking about the doppelganger in media. So I have one that is just a painting that I found that is supposedly the most famous depiction of doppelgangers, made in 1851.
Mm-hmm.
And then like some doppelgangers in video games. I have, I think, 3 or 4 video games, and then 3 movies that I know of that have doppelgangers, and we can talk about more if you have a couple others. I can see you typing away.
Yeah, I actually wanted to look up that painting because I'm curious now.
Yes, it is called The Lovers That Met Themselves. It's a very interesting painting. Obviously, it's 1851, so it's very old, and it's like a very different style of artwork than what we're used to. But it basically just shows this couple that seem to just be walking around the woods, kind of like sometime in like either late afternoon, early morning type style time, and they come across a exact replica of them. The interesting thing in this one is it appears that the doppelgangers are glowing. They have like a little like radiance about them in the picture. You can see the artist has actually like tried to depict that. And then like the girl either just straight up dies because she can't handle the fact that there's 2 of her boys, or she faints from fear. I don't know.
I'm assuming that's a fainting, but
I'm assuming it's a fainting. And then it looks like the dude is also like reaching for his sword. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, bro's posting up right now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting painting, and I wanted to include it. You can find it on Google. Like Kirrianna literally just looked it up. It's called The Lovers That Met Themselves. It's very, very interesting painting. If you're into that kind of stuff too, I think it's really cool. Although, supposedly this is like one of the most popular depictions of, or most famous anyway, depictions of doppelgangers. So you might already know it.
It's a cool painting.
It is.
The guy also has an uncanny resemblance to Dan from Game Grumps.
A little bit, yeah. There's a little bit of that in there.
Got the same hair, for sure.
So let's talk about some doppelgangers in video games.
Hell yeah!
Do you have any that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, one of the ones I googled, actually, ironic enough, I'm playing The Witcher 3 right now, replaying The Witcher 3.
Okay.
And there's like, The Witcher 3 takes a lot of mythology and kind of twists it, I guess.
Right.
For the record, if anybody's a fan of The Witcher, it's a book series that was, translated into a game series.
I didn't know it was a book.
Yeah, it was a book first. It was a book series first. And I only know the games. And even then I played through 2 like when it first came out, and I've forgotten 90% of it. And I've never read the books. I really want to. I tried to get them on, I think, on Audible or something. Because I got like a free book, but it wasn't one of the ones that I could get.
That sucks.
Yeah, I will read them one day though. But there are like a race of, I don't want to say monsters because they're not really monsters because they're like self-aware and like, empathetic, but they're, creatures. Yeah. They're called Dopplers.
Okay.
And they're basically just like shapeshifters. Can take the form of anyone or any beast they have encountered, which I didn't know they could turn into beasts, actually. I have the wiki page loaded up.
She's cheating.
Yeah, I'm totally cheating. Oh, provided it has a similar body weight. That's an interesting caveat. They used to live in the plateau near modern-day Novigrad, but moved to the city itself after it proved to offer more possibilities of survival. And so far, the ones that I've met in the game have been pretty, like, sympathetic characters.
Really?
Yeah, Geralt, the main character, or the protagonist that you play as, is pretty sympathetic towards them. In fact, if I remember correctly, a little bit ago, he had a line about how they're, like, there was one that tried to copy him, but he couldn't handle being Geralt because Dopplers are, like, empathetic and nice creatures by nature.
And Geralt's kind of not.
Yeah, well, Geralt is, like, he's, like, a pretty nice dude, depending on your decisions in the game, but he definitely has a conscience and, like, a code of honor.
Right.
For sure. But at the same time, he's got this, like, very flat affect. And
stoic,
he's, like, and he's very stoic and very sarcastic, and apparently the Dopplers just couldn't handle acting like that for too long.
That's funny. Yeah, that's really funny.
I thought that was a really cute detail.
So some of the video games I have here, I have one on here that I don't actually know. I haven't played any Zelda games. I played Ocarina of Time for a little bit. But what I looked up, because I was curious, I looked up like the top 10 doppelgangers in video games. Number 1 is I think Wario. And I didn't agree with that because I never considered like Wario or Waluigi to be doppelgangers. I guess they kind of are.
Yeah, but they're more like evil mirrors.
Yeah, it didn't feel like doppelgangers to me. But number 2 was Dark Link, also known as Shadow Link.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about the Zelda series. I'm very interested, but I've never put the time in to play or watch anything. I definitely want to play Zelda, though. I remember playing Ocarina of Time for like a tiny bit when I was at like a friend's house or something, and that's the most I've played it.
Dang, I've never played a single one, but I have ironically watched Game Grumps play, I think, almost every single one. At least the major titles.
Gotcha.
They've played and I've watched. I would love to play, especially the new ones like Breath of the Wild and the new one that just came out, but we don't have a Switch.
Yeah, that's fair. Another fun doppelganger in video games. These ones I do know. We got Binding of Isaac.
Oh, there's a doppelganger in Binding of Isaac?
Technically, there's like 2.
Oh.
Maybe more. So there's bosses. I have played a little bit of Rebirth, but not nearly as much as I played the regular Binding of Isaac. So most of my knowledge comes from the like OG Binding of Isaac.
They should call the sequel Afterbirth.
I think they did.
Did they really?
I think it's like Rebirth or some Afterbirth. I can't remember. Yeah, they did. You didn't know that?
Nope.
So the final boss, or one of the final bosses, there's like 52 final bosses in that game.
Jesus.
Not actually, but there's a lot. So one of them though is Isaac himself, but he's like an angel.
Oh.
And if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, his boss fight is a bullet hell, where every time you hit him, he shoots back at you.
Interesting.
And there's also like a bunch of enemies spawning. It's a crazy boss fight.
Because when you're the player character as Isaac, some of the like variations you have on his abilities have like demonic imagery, right?
Yes, there's both.
Oh, okay.
There's both.
Okay.
You get all kinds. Like there's I don't know everything about the game, but I've heard that there's like even like a hidden scale of like faith, where like the more Christian items you have, or like the more like godly items you have higher faith, and the more like satanic items you have a lower faith. And it's like a hidden stat, but I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's also the regular doppelgangers, and these are like common enemies, and they are exact replicas of Isaac. They don't have whatever items you have, so they don't always look exactly like Isaac, because a lot of the items change how Isaac looks, or whoever you decide to be playing as.
Right.
But they perfectly mirror everything you do. So if you're standing in the bottom left corner, they're going to be standing in the upper right corner. And then, like, if you shoot to the left, they're going to shoot to the right or whatever.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oftentimes, the way to kill them is, like, there's a place in the room where, like, you can stand where there's like no fire, but there'll be fire for the doppelganger, or like there'll be no spikes for you, but spikes for the doppelganger. Or you can like plant a bomb and then walk the doppelganger to the bomb, basically.
Okay, interesting.
Or if you have the items, you can outrange it. But obviously, if you're shooting him, he's shooting you.
Right.
So that one's cool. It's kind of like a double for Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun mechanic.
It is very interesting. It's one of those that's like a doppelganger by itself. You're like, oh, whatever. But like when there's a room full of enemies plus the doppelganger, you're like, okay, there's too much going on.
Yeah.
Another fun doppelganger. This one isn't. This is more sci-fi, but I wanted to throw it in. Mass Effect 3.
Oh yeah, the Citadel DLC.
The Citadel DLC. I love the Mass Effect series. Kirrianna put me onto it, and I fucking love them.
Hell
And
yeah.
Mass Effect 3 is, I don't know if it's considered like the best one, but I think it's very fun. And it's also just, I feel like it's a very funny game, and it's very, like, there's a lot of personality to it.
Yeah.
And the Citadel DLC, it's really funny because the whole point of the DLC is like you go to the Citadel to like relax, but then it just starts this huge mission where someone is basically trying to like hack into all of like Shepard's stuff and like steal their identity. And then you find out that someone is a second Shepard. It's a clone of Shepard that was made for like I think like backup body parts or something in case the original Shepard needed like a lung or a heart or something.
Yeah, if I remember right, that's what it was.
So
yeah.
it's a lot more sci-fi, but it still actually has a lot of the original like doppelganger lore. Like it's like an evil twin trying to take over the life of the person that they're copying.
Yeah.
And like it's an exact copy. It's the same voice actor or actress, the whole 9 yards. It's an exact replica of whoever your Shepard is, hair and everything. But there's also like it's not quite Shepard because it doesn't have the exact same personality.
And it doesn't like your hamster.
Yeah, and they don't like your hamster, which is bullshit.
Who the fuck doesn't like that cute little space hamster?
I know.
He squeaks.
He does squeak. There's a fourth game I forgot. I don't know much about this one, but I thought you did because you talked about this game before.
Which one?
Alan Wake.
Oh yeah, Mr. Scratch.
Is that his name?
I think so. Something like that. Something Scratch.
Oh yeah, it says it right here. Mr. Scratch. It's a doppelganger, I guess. Do you remember much about it? I don't know how, like, if you played the game or...
I did play the game, but it's been a long time. But yeah, I do remember Mr. Scratch. He had, like, really... if I remember correctly, he was, like, a shadow figure, but he did, you know... Like, other than the shadowy quality, he was, like, just a copy of Alan. And he, like... Oh, my God. His dialogue was, like, really fucked up, and he would, like... The quality of it was fucked up. Like, it was like...
Oh.
Like, that kind of shit. But he, like, was also, like, you know, supernatural and... Yeah. No, he was fucked up.
That sounds awesome, honestly.
It was... Dude, that game is awesome. I'm so excited for the sequel.
Did you... do you have any other, like, doppelgangers you can think of for video games? I can't really think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah. That's actually a big thing in Kingdom Hearts.
Really? I've never played.
Yeah.
Haven't played a single Kingdom Hearts.
There's like, I'm not, mind you, I'm not super familiar with Kingdom Hearts. I've maybe played like 2 games.
That's 2 more than me.
Out of order. And that even then as a kid on like PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So it's been some time.
It's been some time.
But yeah. There's like one of the major like story things is Heartless. And they're just like a copy of you, but they don't have a heart, but that doesn't mean like the organ that's like this weird like
it's
esoteric
like the love
kind of
it's
like a
like
magical
emotion
quality.
And shit.
Yeah, and then there's like Organization 13, and I believe they're heartless versions of like a bunch of the different main characters, and like somebody loses their memory and they're like fading away or some shit. I don't know, dude. That Kingdom Hearts is a fever dream in my memory. But
yeah, it seems like a lot of lore.
Yeah, there is a ton of lore.
So
yeah, it's a big theme.
Yeah, and I can't think of any other doppelgangers top of my head. I mainly want to talk about, of course, Binding of Isaac and then the Mass Effect one. because those are two that I really know, and I knew you would be familiar with Alan Wake,
Yeah.
considering when you heard there was a sequel, you were very excited.
Oh, I'm so excited, dude.
I'm pretty sure
after
it's already out.
Control. Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Dang, I ain't been following gaming news like I should be.
Same. So we also have doppelgangers in movies. I've seen two of these movies. I've seen bits and pieces of the third one, which is the first one we're going to talk about. But I'm very familiar with the ending of Annihilation. Annihilation is a very weird, like 2-hour sci-fi movie, and it has there's a lot to it. It's like sci-fi horror, and at the end of it, there is like this kind of weird interpretive dance scene with one of the main characters and like her doppelganger. But it's like a really messed up version of her doppelganger. There's a whole lot to go into to try to explain this movie, but it is really cool.
I don't think I'm familiar with that movie at all.
Oh, Annihilation. We're going to have to watch it one day.
It's not like Alien Annihilation, is it? It's just called Annihilation?
It's just called Annihilation.
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that like I said, I haven't seen the full movie.
Uh-huh.
I've seen kind of bits and pieces of it. But that ending is really cool.
Okay.
Also, just the movie Us.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing of that movie is doppelgangers. Us is also kind of weird too. But they have similar kind of ideas as like the regular doppelganger lore. Like I said, trying to kill the copied person and take over their life, which is what the doppelgangers are trying to do in that movie.
Yeah.
But they were like government creations or whatever. They do have an interesting theory or interesting part of that movie that comes into one of the theories that I thought of when it comes to like what a doppelganger is. And that's the idea of like a split soul. But with Us, it was the idea that it was two bodies sharing one soul.
Oh.
So that was pretty cool.
That is a cool idea.
I like that movie a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of the big like dump at the end, but I think every other part of that movie makes up for it.
Yeah.
I don't like the big here's our big plan or whatever.
It wasn't really the lore dump that bothered me, although that did bother me a little bit. It was the like you couldn't tell the difference part of it.
I mean, I guess that's the point though.
That's fair. Yeah. And I agree with the point it was trying to make. I just don't like how it did it.
Fair enough. The last doppelganger is fucking crazy. Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo. If you haven't seen Lake Mungo and you don't know what I'm about to talk about,
which I don't,
I'm sorry for you.
You're welcome.
For the listeners, you might want to skip ahead. Lake Mungo is a really cool, weird, like, mockumentary, I think it's Australian horror film. I forget when it was made. I think it was like 2015, maybe. I could be completely wrong. I don't remember the date. But it's, it's a mockumentary. The actors are all, like, improvising their lines, and it's literally, like, actors sitting in front of camera, like, an interview thing. And it's talking about this family whose daughter went missing when they were at a lake. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I think a week or so later, sometime later, the daughter's body, like, is found. She's dead. And there's, like, the movie has so many fucking twists and turns. It goes from supernatural to, like, almost not really conspiratorial, but, like, there's a lot to it. And it, like, switches around a lot. The end of the movie, though, they found out that the daughter had buried some shit by that lake as like a mini memoriam. And it was like her phone, wallet, and stuff like that. And they dug it up and they looked on her phone and there was a new video that was made like before she died. And they watched it and it's so creepy because it's an old phone and like you're just in pitch black. And there's, like, kind of something in the distance, but you can't see what it is. And, like, it's just a minute and a half of just walking towards this thing. And then all of a sudden, it, like, comes into focus. And it's the doppelganger of the girl dead, waterlogged. Like, she's all, like, waterlogged and, like zombified looking, just right there in front of her. And then I think it even attacks her.
Oh, God.
It is so terrifying. The whole movie, like, builds up to that one moment. But it's honestly, like... And that, like, is a big thing with doppelgangers that we talked about, with, like, it being, like, kind of a death omen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It is probably my favorite depiction of, like, a doppelganger I've ever seen.
Really?
It's so well done.
Huh.
That movie is awesome. It's kind of like a low-key, almost slow burn type movie, but it's one that's done so well. And I think it's also awesome that the maker of that movie just showed up, dropped this fucking bombshell, and then dipped out. No one even knows who or where he is at this, like, or if he's even a real person, or so. Like, he just showed up, dropped this movie, and then, like, some time later, a bunch of horror nerds picked it up and was like, yo, this movie's awesome. And then, like, nobody knows who this guy is that made it.
That's insane.
And especially the type of movie it is. It's like a like, it's literally filmed like a documentary. It's awesome.
Huh. We have to watch that.
Yeah, I want to watch it with you so bad.
That sounds good.
And then the last thing I have here, just some doppelganger stories. So we have, this one is not a paranormal one. This one is not the one I was talking to you about, but I found this one. I thought it was really interesting.
Okay.
So King Umberto I of Italy told a story of him going out for lunch and discovering the owner of the restaurant was like his exact double. This dude was also called Umberto, was born in the same town on the same day, married a woman with the same name on the same day, and also had a son with the same name. They were both decorated for bravery at the same ceremony twice, and the king found out that the man was killed in a shooting accident hours before he himself was shot and killed.
What the fuck?
Like, it's kind of paranormal, but, like, it's literally, like, he didn't meet, like, his spirit doppelganger or whatever. He just met an exact copy of him that was a whole nother fucking person.
God hit Control-C, Control-V, and the files accidentally merged.
Yeah, and that's crazy. That's just a really cool story.
That is a really cool story. I've heard other stories like that. That shit's insane.
Yeah, I was gonna have a segment in here of, like, the real life doppelganger, but I just didn't feel like it was quite what this podcast was about, you know?
What do you mean, the real life doppelganger?
Like, there is a kind of a trend on the internet to find your doppelganger. There's, like, apps.
Yeah, you were showing me that, yeah.
Yeah, one of the most popular ones is Twin Strangers.
Okay.
And there are some, like, interesting cases where, like, some of them are just weird, like, copies of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they not only look the same, but they literally seem like the same person copied. Like, they have the same interests, like music tastes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Similar fashion styles. And I mean, the fact that you would meet someone who looks like you in facial structure and everything is one thing, but also, like, these people will have the same facial hair and regular hair. Like, it would be so, like, they style their stuff the same. Like, it's crazy.
Dead on.
Yeah, and there is some, like, kind of interesting... I didn't delve too deep into it, because, like I said, I felt like it wasn't quite what this podcast is about. It seems like a little bit more, like, regular scientific stuff.
Yeah.
But, there does seem to be, like, people who are like that will tend to have, like, similar genes. Like, it literally is, like, in their DNA type shit.
Okay, because that also reminds me of, like, long lost twin stories.
Yeah.
And they find each other and they, like, there was this one story, I don't remember details, but there was this, like, they were, like, older ladies and they figured out that, you know, they met each other and figured out that they were twins. And, like, on the first meeting where they were going to go, like, meet up with each other, they not only were wearing, like, a similar, if not the exact same outfit, but they got each other the exact same gifts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Literally the exact same thing. That's
pretty funny. So this next doppelganger story comes from a author called Noah Brooks in his book called Washington in Lincoln's Time. which was apparently written in 1895.
Damn, okay.
And yeah, we're going to be talking about Abraham Lincoln.
Dude, that's so funny because when you were like, there's a couple famous cases, my mind immediately went to Abraham.
I did. I think you figured it out that day that I told you, and then you forgot, and I think it just kind of
and
like...
then I refigured it out.
Yeah, you refigured it out. Because I was like, it's a president or something like that.
Did I make a joke about Adolf Linkler?
I think you did,
It's
yeah.
starting to ring a bell
I
now.
think you did.
For the record, that's a character in Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I don't watch, but... So, according to Noah Brooks, soon after Lincoln was elected in 1860, I saw one telling of this where this was like the same day that he was elected, but this is saying soon after he was elected. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same day or not.
But somewhere around his election.
Yeah, probably within a month's time.
Okay.
At the very least. Or at the very most. So he went home and he looked into the mirror where he saw himself reflected in double, which I think is him, like he saw his reflection, but then he saw another him. So there was two of him in the reflection.
Yeah.
Is the way it sounds like. But he said that he noticed that the one was nearly identical, but it was about 5 shades paler than the other. And Lincoln's wife was worried and told Lincoln that she believed that the paleness of this reflection was a bad omen, and it meant that Lincoln would not serve his second term. And that is exactly what happened. So Lincoln he served the first full term of presidency, and then he got reelected, but then of course he got shot in that theater.
So he was a victim of like the omen type of doppelganger.
Yeah, it seemed like a mix of the omen, the bad omen, and the reflection.
Yeah.
It was kind of a double there. There is actually some quotes that I thought that I got, but I guess I did not, and I apologize. This episode is a mess. But, there was some quotes of Lincoln, like, describing the doppelganger, saying that he had a pale, sickly visage, and, apparently also Lincoln and his wife are very superstitious people, which is why she believed that this meant he was not going to serve 2 full terms.
I feel like it's starting to come back to me, because she was, like, adamant and like kind of beside herself with grief, and like Lincoln tried to calm her down, but she just wouldn't calm down about it, right?
Yes, from what I read, yes, but Lincoln also seemed like he was still, like, I think he was putting on a brave face, but I think he was also kind of scared of it, you know?
Yeah, they were in the farm and he was like, no dear, it's okay, like everything will be fine, and then he goes into the bathroom and he's like
but yeah, then of course John Wilkes Booth made sure he did not serve his second full term, and that was like right after he got elected too. So
really,
that was like right after the second election.
Wow, but then he went to serve, but
yeah, he got elected the second time, and then like within the first month, I think, is when he was assassinated.
Wow,
I could be wrong. I don't know history very well.
Yeah, I don't know that era of history very well.
But yeah, that's a very interesting one. And then here's another one. Queen Elizabeth I.
Really?
She saw her doppelganger very shortly before her death. She, I guess, entered her bedroom to see her doppelganger laying in bed, but just like Lincoln, her doppelganger was described as very pale and sickly. And then she died pretty soon after, actually, in that same bed.
Wow.
And I'm wondering if she didn't die in the same position.
Yeah.
Because that's creepy. That's almost like the ill omen and the glitch at the same time.
Yeah, really.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
And then we just have a couple of Reddit ones that I found that were really cool. This one is on the top 20 scariest doppelganger stories on Ranker. And this is just some interesting Reddit posts. So this one comes from a username Celestial E-Spirit. It's an awesome name. So this person says when they were 16 or 17, they were really into doing Ouija boards. And apparently it caused some doppelgangers to show up, I guess. They saw their mom. I don't know if it's a he or not, but they saw their mom. They came in and they had their best friend with them, and they went downstairs to greet their mom, but it looked like a younger version, which is kind of interesting. Like
a younger version of their mom?
Yes.
Interesting.
Like the doppelganger looked younger. And the doppelganger was carrying groceries. And so this person tried to call out to them, but they did. Excuse me. Whew, sorry. But the doppelganger, of course, didn't respond. So, and like walked into their brother's room. The doppelganger did.
Oh, hell no.
And apparently this person got a sick feeling, tried to call out, and she didn't respond. And they followed her up to where their brother's room was, and she wasn't there. And then when they walked back down, their real mom came in, and she was wearing a completely different outfit.
Oh, wow. So
that's a pretty scary thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also I don't know how. Okoth?
Ocauth. Okoth.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
how
know.
I'd say it. I don't know.
Pretty cool, like, spelling, though.
That is. The word looks cool, which is
Yeah.
such a weird thing to say.
It looks like a black metal band.
Yeah, it does.
This person said that they woke up one morning to their dad going to the kitchen and then stopping by their door to say, like, hey, wake up. And they started watching YouTube on their phone, like everyone also does when they wake up. And then later on, their mom was walking to the kitchen and did the same exact thing. So they got out of bed, and both of their parents are still in their room. So they saw both their mom and their dad doppelgangers.
That's crazy. The first attempt failed, and they were like, fuck it, I'll just be dad then.
No, the first attempt was dad, and the second attempt was mom.
Yeah, my bad. My bad.
But yeah, that is a funny, like, well, maybe they'll listen to their mom.
Yeah, maybe he's a mama's boy / girl / whatever.
And then there's also this one by Shutterspook. This one's cool, though.
It's a cool username, too.
It is. This person apparently has problems with doppelgangers at their workplace.
Oh, wow.
And they have 2 sightings here.
Can I do a dramatic reading of this one? Like verbatim?
Sure. Go for it.
We had problems with doppelgangers at a fast food joint that I worked at. I had 2 separate sightings myself. The first, my general manager comes out to tell me in the drive-thru, and the register person to clean the lobby, then goes to the restroom. So the register person and I come up with a plan and wait for her to come out. We see her walk out to the restroom, walk by us, and walk into the lobby. We go to catch her and no one's there. We turn around and she's walking out of the bathroom. We tell her what we saw, but she didn't believe us. Ooh, that's creepy. Second instance. Manager and I are in the prep area. One of the girls who is working up front walks back and right into the walk-in cooler. After about 5 minutes of waiting, the manager asks me to go check on her. I open the walk-in door. There's no one there. As I'm trying to explain this to my manager, the girl in question walks into the prep area from the front. Needless to say, the manager believed me and finally believed what had happened the first sighting. Dude! 2 separate instances, both at work?
Yeah, and this sounds like it's like an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to find this person's Reddit. I want to see if there's more stories.
Me too, I need an update.
This is also like crazy. This hits kind of close to home because like I currently work in fast food.
Yeah.
I work at a KFC, and like I could see this happening. Like I used to work at a Subway, and we had like weird ghost stuff happen. We might talk about that one day on the podcast.
We
like, do
should.
Some like personal stories.
It seems like both of our personal experiences, Subway's experience in like a weirdly like heavy amount of haunting.
Yeah, Subways are always haunted.
The ghost of Jared will never go away.
But yeah, that's a crazy one. Like I could just see that happening, like as they're describing it.
Yeah.
And just think to myself like how I would feel in that moment, and I would just be like, that's so weird and like uneasy.
Yeah, 100%.
I also have on here, this is one of those like paranormal shows, so like take that with a grain of salt of how real it is. It's one of those like dramatic retellings, but I do remember watching one of those shows, and this girl was talking about having a doppelganger that was like around for a while, and like her whole family was like experiencing this.
Like almost a doppelganger attachment type situation?
Kind of. I very vividly remember one part of this because it freaked me out. She also seemed to work in a fast food place, and she was the opener, so she was the first person there. And when she got to her work, if I remember correctly, all the lights were already on, which was, for one, weird, but it could just be like on the night people forgot to turn the lights off.
Right.
But then she goes to the back, and her doppelganger is standing there. And in the dramatic, like reenactment of it, her doppelganger was holding a knife. And I don't know if that was supposed to be like an actual thing that happened.
Or if the producer was just like, yeah, just give that actress a knife.
Yeah, just give her a knife. But there are, like, we talked about in the beginning, like, there are some instances where the doppelganger will try to, like, take over someone's life. And that does include potential physical harm. Like, actually trying to kill the copied person, like the movie Us. Like, literally, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
This doppelganger didn't seem to be, like, it seemed more threatening than actual, like...
Like, physically threatening?
Yeah, it seemed more like just kind of barking,
Yeah,
menacing. Menacing and kind of, like, taunting.
Yeah.
But I don't... Like, they never said anything about her being actually attacked. But there was a lot of, like, her doppelganger... coming around, and like they'll be watching TV, and then she like comes home from work, but it's like early for her to be coming home, and she'll go into her room or something, but then an hour or so later she will actually get home from work, and then like they're like, wait, didn't you already come home? Like, where'd you go? And she's like, no, I just got off work.
That's so creepy, dude.
Yeah, that's some real like existential issues.
Existential horror, and just like so close to home.
Yeah.
Not even just physically, but emotionally.
And imagine like, in being in that situation where like your family member has some kind of weird doppelganger attachment or something that's like, you don't even know which one's which.
Yeah. Which one do I shoot?
So the funny thing, that actually reminds me, we were talking about doppelgangers in media. There is one I can think of. And this one is kind of funny just because we were just talking about this. Ash versus the Evil Dead. If you don't know the Evil Dead movies, I think it's the second one, Ash has to like cut off his own hand because his hand gets possessed. And that's why he has like the chainsaw hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the second movie. And Ash versus the Evil Dead picks up after the movies take place, so it's like chronologically, the time that it would be like from the movies. Like he's a lot older and stuff. That hand actually makes a return for the movie.
What?
And it ends up growing a new body, and it does become an exact doppelganger of his.
Oh my god.
And at one like there's a scene where it's him, the doppelganger, and then the other two main characters, like both with guns, like going back and forth, like which one do we shoot? And they're both trying to convince the other characters, shoot him. Like they're both saying that, and eventually one of them was like, fuck it, just shoot both of us. And then they shoot the other one, and he's like, how'd you know it was me? And they're like, yeah, you're the only person that would try to take that easy way out. And that's kind of a funny thought, but like if what is being said is true, what the doppelganger might even know to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of idea. Like that's a funny moment, but that's a very funny, it's like a horror comedy.
Right.
Like leaning towards comedy even. So like it's just a funny moment, but like in a real situation, if this doppelganger, especially you know, we talked about the Egyptians' belief of it. Like, they have your memories and your feelings and stuff. Like,
yeah, it's literally an exact
how do you
copy.
know?
Oh, God, you wouldn't.
Like, I feel like, because some fun lore about me is I have a single tooth missing. I feel like the doppelganger would have that tooth missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I've actually been told on several occasions from several different people from different parts of the United States. Like, we're talking across the country, or at least halfway across the country, people being like, did you used to go to this school? Did you used to, like, work here? No, I just moved here, like, 2 weeks ago. But someone said that, like, from my hometown that I used to work at a pizza place I never worked at, so I guess there's, like, a bunch of me running around. That's a terrifying thought, considering one of me is enough.
You've told me so many stories of people thinking they know you.
Yeah, that happened today.
Really?
That happened today. One of my coworkers swore that I went to school with their sister.
Here?
And I was like, I'm not even from here. Like, I moved here a few years ago.
Bitch, I've been here 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, so that's funny. Have you ever had doppelganger, like, people telling you that you have a doppelganger? Because these people use the word doppelganger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, you have a doppelganger then, because this person looked exactly like you. And, like, I am not a very, like, normal looking person. There's a lot of things about me, even just like my hair. My hair is pretty like unique.
Yeah.
Like, I got like a side/back shave going on and stuff. Yeah, I'm not a very normal looking person. So the fact that there are people telling me that there are doppelgangers of me from multiple locations, some halfway across the US, I need to meet these people.
Yeah, really? Because you'd expect it more from me.
Yeah, you look way more like someone that, like, I could see you be like, oh, this is the person from my class looks like you or whatever.
Yeah, I look way closer to, like, one of the presets in the character creator. You, like, somebody took hours on you.
They had to fuck with the sliders a lot.
Yeah, and maybe added some mods, too.
Yeah,
But yes, I have had that happen.
You did?
Yes, but not as much as you. Like, fairly often throughout my entire life, but not as much as you. Not half as much as you.
Yeah, it's crazy how much people say that.
Yeah, and, like, I feel like almost 50% of the time, they're right. Like, they do recognize me. But that's because, like, where we live now was my hometown.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, even if I don't remember them, I did go to that school or I did work at that place.
Right, yeah. No, I would, like, move to a new city and people are like, oh, did you go to school over here? I'm like, no, I was 23 years old when I moved here. I didn't go to school here at all.
Yeah, no.
And like, none of my family is from here either, so I don't know how this person could look like me.
Yeah, I kidnapped you. You don't know nobody here.
So we're gonna go into some 3 main theories, 2 of which are more of like the paranormal theories of doppelgangers, and then the third one is kind of interesting that I found. So the first theory is, we talked about it before, the glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
I have actually seen, when I was doing some research about this, that doppelgangers are sometimes even used as like kind of evidence for people who support the simulation theory.
Oh, I could see that. Okay,
yeah, like this idea that like the simulation, the system glitched out, and
or even that there's just like only so much processing power that like the inevitability of NPCs being somewhat copies is just inevitable.
I haven't seen that theory yet, but that's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
I was more going for like the idea of like lag, like real life lag kind of idea.
Oh, like where they're doing something in the past and then the like not copy does it later.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
Do you have anything? I think you're a little bit more versed on that controversy. I'm not super big on the simulation idea.
as much as I don't. Well, okay, I don't know how much I believe in the like life as a simulation idea. I've certainly thought about it a shit ton.
Yeah, but I feel like you've also gone down that rabbit hole. Like you've watched some stuff about it, I think.
Yeah, I have. And I mean, I haven't done any formal research or anything.
Fair.
Just like personal interest. But yeah, I don't know, and this is a big if our experienced reality is some sort of simulation, then I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to have flaws, at least to our current understanding of how a simulation would work. And there's like, there's memory limitations, there's processing limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, even like the way that a computer stores memory, like there are certain like cosmic phenomena that can affect the ones and zeros that process things on your computer that can just like permanently fuck up your computer.
Yeah.
And like, shit just happens.
Right.
There's no bug-free game.
Right.
Period.
There's no bug-free simulation.
Yeah. So if our reality is a simulation, no matter how advanced, there are going to be some fuck-ups. But then we also have this like built-in kind of, logic it out, like, I don't know, we've got these paradigms of what we should and shouldn't believe and like what is and isn't reasonable to believe.
Right.
And believing that reality is a simulation isn't necessarily reasonable, and I think that's mostly just because we don't have a ton of evidence for it.
That's fair.
But if it is a simulation, then I would say physics would be like the closest we're ever going to get to understanding like the coding behind a simulation.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Which is why I love like space and like weird physics videos and stuff. Not just because of its relation to like Glitch in the Matrix stuff, but just like, the similarities to that in general is like such a cool idea to me.
That's cool.
But as far as doppelgangers go, I mean, it makes sense. In like a kind of Glitch in the Matrix way, at least for some of the stories.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
especially like when you think of like Queen Elizabeth, like seeing herself dead in her own bed, and then shortly after dying in the same bed.
Yeah, that could just be like her death event triggering too early.
Yeah,
and like
someone completed a side quest before they were supposed to.
Yeah, and like the continuity got fucked up.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Another theory that I found, but I also thought of myself, was the idea of like a split spirit.
What do you mean by that?
Kind of similar to us, where it's like the idea of like a spirit inhabiting two bodies, or like a spirit that got split, and then those two like spirits kind of, or like being whole even, and inhabiting another body, like something similar to that. Where it's like, just like the idea of like an exact copy of someone. I feel like, I don't know, if you believe in like souls or spirits or whatever, like that would be to most people who believe in spirits and souls are like, that's like the core of your being kind of thing.
Right.
So if you have a perfect copy, the only way you could get that copy is to have
a split spirit.
Deal. Like for them to have some like part of your soul or spirit.
That makes sense.
I remember
From
talking.
A spiritual standpoint.
Yeah, I remember talking. This is like kind of related. I remember talking to a friend of mine like about the idea of spirits and souls. This was a long time ago, and he talked about the idea of reincarnation. Mm-hmm. And how, like, not to bring it down too much, but, like, the idea of, like, when like, babies are born dead, like, stillborn or something, like, his kind of rationale of that is that there wasn't a spirit to claim that body when it was born.
Oh, interesting. So it's, like, from that viewpoint, it would be, like, an unutilized vessel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not to like, dehumanize that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like that's like kind of the idea.
Okay.
That he provided. So like in using that kind of idea, what if a soul somehow inhabited two bodies at the same time?
Oh, interesting. A glitch in the soul factory.
A glitch in the soul factory, yeah.
Okay.
Like it split off somehow or something like that.
Huh, interesting. And then, like, because the soul kind of, in that theory,
is like the core of your being.
You end up looking the same and acting the same.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd never thought of it that way.
That's just like a cool little pet theory that I've seen some people talk about, but I also definitely had that thought myself.
Huh. I actually have never considered it from that viewpoint.
Yeah.
That's a cool theory.
I also saw this quote. Some scientists believe that the phenomenon of doppelgangers occur based on injuries or stimulation to certain parts of the brain, which cause errors in spatial reasoning. I don't fully get that take on it. This is just a quote that I found.
What does that mean in reference to spatial reasoning?
I guess meaning like if someone sees a doppelganger, it's like their brain kind of like almost having a hallucination, like by thinking that there's something familiar there. I don't really know.
Yeah, from that verbiage alone, I don't quite understand what that means.
That's literally all I was able to get from it. I could not figure out anything else on that. That's the quote that I have.
Interesting. Some scientists believe the phenomenon occurs based on injuries or stimulation to certain parts of the brain, which cause errors in spatial reasoning. See, I'm with it up until errors in spatial reasoning.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's just something I found. Do you have any like theories of your own that we didn't talk about, or anything we didn't talk about? We're reaching about hour and 12-ish minutes.
Well, it's not bad actually.
Yeah.
Theories of my own. Well, I definitely had the glitch in the Matrix idea.
Mm-hmm.
For a while. Part of me like always had the idea, but not the like. I wasn't 100% sure that they were like spiritual, but I knew that was a factor in a lot of stories. And from what you've said, it sounds like a lot of them actually, like predominantly.
Yeah, the phenomenon, the idea of a doppelganger usually is like spiritual in nature, based on like, or just throughout all the cultures that I've been able to find that has doppelgangers. You know, they're a spiritual double in like ancient Egypt. They're like spiritual beings in like Eastern Asia and all that stuff. Like they're just. It seems very like tied to the spiritual beliefs of these cultures. Yeah,
and like, it's interesting that they were believed to be spirits, but it seems like they're such a like
physical thing.
Yeah, like a physically experienced phenomenon.
Yeah. I will say that there are. I didn't find any actual evidence or like stories or anything of a doppelganger attacking someone.
Okay.
But I have heard, I've seen places where they say like on some occasions. So it seems like it has happened potentially, or like an attempt or something where someone maybe fought their doppelganger, which is a terrifying thing to think about.
Yeah, really.
How the fuck do you fight yourself? I feel like I feel like they would know everything I'm about to throw at them.
And be able to give it right back.
Yeah.
Makes me think of the scene in Cyberpunk where Johnny and you are like mirroring each other.
Yeah. The Spider-Man meme.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm you, you're me, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Yeah, this is a really messed up episode.
Hey, I apologize. I thought it was pretty good.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was refreshing after that 2-hour one.
Yeah. Oh, that is a thought I did have earlier in the episode was how you were talking about when I was kind of introducing and, you know, giving my disclaimers about skinwalkers, how you were talking about how they would copy, like, voices
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that.
You think that might just be doppelgangers being mistaken for skinwalkers?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Because it sounds like something that they do.
Yeah, in some cases. I have seen stories where people were like, you know, my dad called for me and I went down there, like, he wasn't there, or, like, you know, the thing I saw, what, like, it resembled my dad, but, like, it was something off about it or something.
Yeah, and I wonder if, like, people attribute stories like that to skinwalkers simply because of the name Skinwalker.
Yeah.
And it sounds like some kind of entity that would just copy another person.
Yeah, that does sound like that.
Which is the main reason I wanted to do the episode about it.
Yeah. And I think you did really good on that episode. Speaking of which, what is your next episode?
My next episode is going to be the Philadelphia Experiment.
The Philadelphia Experiment.
The Philadelphia Experiment.
What is, like, do you have, like, a very brief intro for the people who may not know what that is, or may not know it by that title?
Trying not to spoil too much. From the little bit that I know about it, it was an attempt to make I think it was either a submarine or like a ship.
I think it was a ship.
I think it was a ship. But it was like some kind of military vessel invisible to radar, and then eventually trying to make it invisible to the naked eye, period, by way of like photon refraction, aka just like refracting light around the boat so that the photons don't bounce directly off the boat and onto your retinas, onto your eyes, so that you like just can't see it. Basically, like, if you're familiar with like active or like optical camo from like Metal Gear or Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah.
Like the sci-fi stereotypical invisibility or Predator.
Yeah.
That type of shit. Like that, they were basically trying to do that, and it, according to some reports, went horribly fucking wrong.
Yeah. And the bits I remember from it are terrifying sounding.
It's kind of a gruesome one.
All right. And then after that, I usually will wait until the next episode to give what I want, but I already know what I want to do for my next episode.
Yeah.
I want to do the Bell Witch Haunting. If you don't know about that one, it is an old story. I forget the exact time frame, but it's an old story where it's the only paranormal story I know of where someone died, and I'm pretty sure it was a paranormal related death.
And I'm so excited to hear about it because I know nothing about it.
It's the only story I can think of where it seems like someone died via haunting.
That's
like,
crazy.
Cause of death, haunted to death.
Cause of death, ghosty as fuck.
Yeah.
Dog.
And it's a really interesting story, and even has some parts of it that sound kind of skinwalker-y.
Really?
A little bit.
Ooh.
And one part for sure.
Okay.
So look forward to that. We're gonna be back on like actually having stuff to talk about and actual research being done.
On a regular schedule, hopefully.
Yeah. But life got really weird. I really wanted to do doppelgangers, and then I did a bunch of research and found out there's not a whole lot of stuff about doppelgangers. So I had to just kind of go with whatever I could think of.
Hey, we're at almost an hour and 19 minutes. I think you did all right.
Yeah. And we talked about like some fun stuff.
Yeah.
I want to be able to like bring in media into this channel too, like just horror media in general.
For sure.
And there is even some possibility of us talking about like creepypastas in the future potentially.
Ooh, okay.
I kind of want to do some creepypasta episodes.
I'm down.
Just because they are really cool to me. Like Ben Drowned and stuff like that.
All I can think of when you say creepypasta is Jeff the Killer, and how much the picture of Jeff scared the fuck out of me when I first saw him.
I actually don't know much about Jeff the Killer other than the picture.
I remember reading the story, and I don't remember anything. I just remember, like, not as much now, but when I first saw that picture, it haunted my fucking thoughts for weeks.
Oh, it haunted me too, but I've never read what Jeff the Killer was. My big thing with creepypastas was like the game ones, like Ben Drowned and like the Pokemon ones and stuff like that.
The only gaming one I think I ever read was Sonic EXE.
I remember Sonic EXE. But yeah, this has been the Fox and the Fish podcast. All of the links to the sources and everything that I used is going to be in the description, as well as social medias. I am trying to get Kirrianna to do some stuff on Twitter.
I'll get there. I swear. I'm sorry.
But I have Twitter and YouTube. My YouTube is barren at the moment, but it is hopefully going to be coming up soon. The great thing about Christmas is that even though we don't exactly celebrate it, it does mean a day off, at least for me. I think you work on Christmas, which sucks.
I do work. I only work 6 hours on Christmas, and I get time and a half, so I'm not too sad about it.
That's cool. But I am not going to be working, so I'm going to have an extra day off that week for free. So I'm going to be trying to do some recordings for my ASMR and then start posting it on my YouTube. So if you are interested in the idea of spooky ASMR, check that out. I think it'll be interesting.
I found it very interesting.
I hope it's interesting. But my name is Phinn.
My name is Kirrianna.
And thank you for listening. And do not let the spooks get you.
Bye. I love you.